Thanks a lot for following along to the channel. Thanks a lot for your support, and thanks a lot for actually, spending a lot of time and putting in your comments. I get a lot of DMs on various channels, and it's really good to be able to be doing something a lot like really productive that really affects people's lives in a positive way. So at the moment, one message that I got in the morning today, and I thought I'll quickly live stream this and make a quick video about it, which I really like the features where I can just go live and then it automatically gets updated to the channel. I will be making proper, like I like to call them, dosage based videos where I'll be putting in the content properly and actually talking about how to do it. So now someone actually asked me in the past year in the pandemic, what books were you reading, and what were you doing when you were actually at home. Now, during the pandemic, when the pandemic actually kicked off, right before that, I was actually in a different city away from my parents. I was working on a really big project. I would have mentioned that in one of the videos in episode 2 or 1. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and just take a look at it. It's called Voiceovers and Sore Throats, where I talk about how you can prepare for a massive voiceover project and stuff like that. So now what I was doing at that time was I was nearing the completion of the project, and obviously when the pandemic struck, one of the things that actually really got in the way of me moving away from the city really quickly was that I didn't get paid up front. So it was a project-based payment. It was supposed to be paid out to me in how do you call it, in milestones. At the completion of a certain percentage of the project they would pay me, but that never happened. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, notwithstanding, I did my due diligence, I did my work, finished it off, and March 22nd is when the announcement was made in India that this lockdown is going to happen, so you have a day to gather whatever you had and head into the basement. Now, I basically then got back to, so at that time, and I'll make a much more detailed video about that entire struggle and what was going on in my head and what I was doing. Now, at that moment, I was living in a hotel room, okay? Now, I didn't have a house. I didn't have any functional capital to actually put down on a house any window. I was just going hand to mouth, kind of existing from door to door, and I got this deal at this hotel, which was pretty near the place I had to do this project, and I struck kind of a deal with the manager, and he let me stay for a pretty considerable period of time, and he was okay with me delaying the payments, bi-weekly, tri-weekly, and stuff like that. So a really sweet guy, big shout out to him. I'll make a specific video about that place as well down the line, I remember. So back to the original question is what I was reading during that time and how did I actually inculcate some of the things that I read directly into my work on a day-to-day basis. So one of the things that I do is I try to pick up books from 3 major categories. Now, these categories are going to vary from person to person. You're not going to have the same likes, dislikes. You might be naming them in a different way. Now, mostly people think of fiction, nonfiction, science, technology, business, autobiographies, biographies, docu-books, books with pictures, books with crayons, etc., etc. Now, I basically put them into 3 categories, okay? I put them into art, okay? I put them into real life, and I put them into application. Now, what does that mean? Now, art, I would consider art as the category as to be books such as, let's say, The Power of Presence by David Godman, or Haruki Murakami's Norwegian Wood. Now, I would consider these art in a way where I say that a kind of an artist is trying to project his ideas and sensibilities through different scenarios that may be fictional or maybe non-fictional in nature. So I put both these kind of books into one category. Then the second category is, as I mentioned, is something like books that are related to, let's say, technology, straight on, like science books, books where there's applicable scenarios, stuff that you can actually apply to real life examples. So if you're faced with a situation and you read a certain excerpt from a book, you can actually apply that and draw some metrics out of it, and that becomes your learning, or that becomes your learning path, and so on. And then the third category, to a large extent, I like to read stuff that revolves around a little bit of fantasy, you can say, or a little bit of creative outlet, if that's the right word, where it's fiction, obviously, to a larger extent, because There's not a lot of conclusive evidence to support the claim in that literature. But when you read some of those books, what actually tends to happen is you tend to open a certain outlet of your mind that allows you to kind of shrink wrap that main practical idea inside your head, but it has a kind of a fantasy coating around it, which kind of attracts someone that you're communicating with to actually listen to your idea a lot more. Now, a lot of folks out there, and there's a lot of videos on the internet, a lot of videos on YouTube where people just quickly just get to the point quickly and say, okay, now this is the way it's got to be done. This is the right way, or this is not the wrong way, and then they do that politically correct middle stance and go down the road, and that's about it. But the most beautiful ideas are in layers. There is no great idea that's point and shoot. There's a lot happening on the back end, either in the creator's mind or in the team's mind that created that general idea. So in general, try to take books that are of 3 or 4 different categories, or kind of go from fantasy all the way to, let's say, operational implementability towards science and so on. So I call this particular stream like reading and writing, particularly because once I go through those books, I try my best to implement what I learned in either project plans. I'm going to make documents around different projects I may be working on. So always try to write as much as you can, particularly even if you feel your ideas are complete and utter nonsense. It doesn't matter. Write a bunch of stuff, because when you write a bunch of documents or you write a bunch of excerpts, it really magnifies and shows the inner workings of that idea in a really good way, and you can move ahead a lot quicker. And that works backwards to actually improving the way you communicate or how you think. Because modern day, what is tend to happen is you might be pushed towards speaking and thinking really quickly based off someone else's attributes of making you do that. That may not be you. So you need to have a structured and solid baseline and pedestal from where you actually think ahead. So I hope this live stream was helpful. This was just one idea I wanted to get off my chest. I'll keep coming with a couple of more videos as a big announcement that I've been waiting for, and I hope that it comes through today. If it does, I'll share it with all of you. Give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to think, what you think about the content itself. Love to hear your feedback on any level. Crystal is always going to be jumping around in the video every now and then, so you guys have to kind of bear with that. She's really small, and I'll make a video especially dedicated to her as well, so you guys get to know her a lot better. But thanks a lot for watching the video, guys, and have a fantastic week. Read, write, stay hydrated, keep your mind centered, stay in the zone, and more power to you. See you in the next one.